Bumabangon ako sa umaga para maglingkod sa ibang tao, sa pamilya ko, sa sarili ko. Dahil naniniwala ako na nandito tayo sa mundo para maging blessing para sa ibang tao.
Para kay Mother Earth, kasi siya yung nag-nourish sa atin, ipoprotect sa atin, at hindi siya nagbigay na walang hindi kapalit.
Para sa passion ko, para makapag-travel at malingkot ang mundo.
Para ti pamilya, kaya di kita dumapay nga love ko ti life ko.
For my family. Today, bumabangon ako for my wife. And of course for my family. And also, to give myself a chance to live again.
Para sa mga pasyente ko.
Bumabangon ako para sa pamilya ko, syempre. Kasi may mga kapatid ako ang pinapaaral. Kaya pinipilit ko ito yung awagan na bumangon, magpabangon. Para kumita ako at may
para sa mga anak ko.
Para sa pamilya, trabaho, para sa mga problema natin.
Sa kapatid ko. Para sa pagkabukas, mabangon para sa kapakanan ng lahat, para sa future.
Sa aking pamilya. Para sa pamilya ko, sa mga anak ko, sa asawa ko.
Okay, hello, good evening again. We are here again to decompress and talk about the last talk, the last panel discussion. Actually, I was deeply researching Bokashi composting after hearing that portion. JP, I think you had a lot to talk about dun sa portion na yun.
Yeah, it was nice yung all the speakers talking about yung understanding the importance of having a relationship with the earth. Yung parang it's like going back to the basics, like
Yes.
what our ancestors used to do na,
Yeah.
we practice zero waste or at least minimize our impact on our carbon footprint, our solid food waste, yung ganon. So it's a nice collection of speakers talking about different aspects of what they're doing, but it's so interconnected.
How about you, Sam?
Me, you know what I did? I was taken aback with what Mami Lely shared. I started adding to cart. I went to her website. There's a lot that you can, purchase on her website, and as well, isahin ko yan. I will go through each and every website that they have, because you know what, I personally, I will be honest, I don't take care of Mother Nature as much as I can, but maybe we could start there. Maybe we can support people that helps Mother Nature,
Yes.
right? Like, because like I'm a very busy person. I can try, but I will always fail. So let's just help someone that actually does the work for us.
Now this is an honest question from me. Given what was talked about, given that both of you have that sensitivity, you have that connection with the spiritual world. How do you see it? Means that does it manifest when it comes to Mother Nature or Earth? Does it somehow manifest for you? Do you see things differently pag merong Sam, I remember you were telling me before yung may isang you have this one area near your house that is two sides of the road. One side is purely dead dead trees, dead soil, and the other part is thriving. I mean, as a
Mhm.
s- as a person connected with the spirituality, do you see anything there? I mean, observation wise.
Yes. Yes, and a lot of people that has certain abilities and affinity to to the paranormal,
Mm-mm.
they kind of relate to the nature more so because, like, for example, me, I personally am not, like, I'm a nature freak kind of person. I'm not like that. But every time that I am somewhere near, like, for example, a forest, the beach, mountains, I feel a lot energized as a person that has ability. And I feel like, in a certain level, like I could climb up a mountain without breaking a sweat. So
Yes.
that would be very nice.
Mm. JP, I remember while we were listening to the talk, you sent me something that you, a composting bin that you had with a friend in Singapore, is it, if I'm not mistaken? So, again, this is just a question, curiosity for me. Um, so when you do that, does you see any manifestations? I mean, you're giving back to the earth, you're composting, you're recycling waste. Does it? Do you see anything different? Curious lang ako. Curious lang.
Well, sa akin kasi it was really impacted on me or put on me by my grandmother that, this is our relationship with the earth, my practice being who I am, as the two of you know, yung parang it's very intricately connected to the earth. So, and with my daily job, actually, it's really interconnected. I'm part of a sustainability team in my corporate
Mm.
job. So I think the connection with the earth has always been there. And slowly, I think I'm becoming that nature freak in a way.
Mm. Oo.
But I've always done small things that I never really thought were towards that greener lifestyle, but apparently they are.
Yes. So we'll be back again later. We'll listen to the next speaker, but for now we will introduce JP. Katokayo JP.
Yes, again. Hello,
Hi JP. Hello
Pagpag-voice. Hello,
again.
Nick, Sam,
Hello,
and
hello,
Tokayo.
hello.
Hello, good evening.
Okay, we'll
It's
be
nice to
stepping
be
out.
chatting with you. Yeah, okay. See you again soon. Um, to continue with our discussion is related to the earth and Mother Gaia. Keep posting your answers to the statement "My contribution to Earth is," and together with the hashtags that we mentioned earlier, like hashtag Bangon and hashtag Rebuild Gaia. That's REBUILDGAIA. So we have a very exciting prize up for grabs, and we will announce the winner at the end of this talk. So be more innovative and be more sincere as you can, and the best answer will win a trip for two to Ilocos. So to continue with our connection to the earth and related matters. Our next speaker is a founding member of MAIA Earth Village in Puerto Princesa, Palawan, and has been involved in various disaster and relief operations as a volunteer, like in 2013 with the Typhoon Haiyan, or otherwise known as Yolanda, hit the country. He also represented the Philippines for GENOA, or Global Ecovillage Network Oceania and Asia, when he went to Kathmandu, Nepal, to help rebuild the houses using natural mud after the latter was hit by a strong earthquake. He has also been going around the country to educate people on building sustainable and environment friendly mud houses. So, friends, let's all welcome Marwin Eguia. Um, let's wait for Marvin. We're having technical difficulties at the moment. But for now, just type in your comments below regarding the um, your contribution, my contribution to Earth is. So that we can, who knows, you might be the lucky winner of this 2 days, 3 nights, or 3 days and 2 nights accommodation, good for two in Ilocos Norte. So okay, so Marvin is already there. Hello, Marvin. Welcome to our program tonight.
Hello. Hello. How are you? So I want to introduce myself. My name is Marwin Eguia, or you can just call me Maui. So I'm gonna talk about building spiritual. So basically, what I'm going to share is all about natural building and what kind of spiritual practices I do in terms of communing with the people who I'm sharing the technology with. Okay. So first of all, what is a mud house or what is a natural building? So in terms of construction, we all know that natural is the opposite of the conventional industrial way of building a house or structure. So when I say natural, it's all about using natural materials, which are maybe wood, bamboo, stones, rocks, etc. The things you can find in nature which are not. So mud house, there are three components that comprises the materials that we need in order to create this mud mix. I'm gonna go over that later. Requirements to be able to know how to build your mud house. So first and foremost, why I came about this technology and how did I go there? Where did I come from initially? So my story is interesting not because it's mystical, but it's very unique in a sense that I'm an accountancy major. I work in a bank. I have no engineering or construction background, so I came from the city. My previous work was involved in I'm involved in the accounting of the banking industry, and I just wanted to search for another type of life when I got bored with my work. So I decided to just retire early or resign, and I had to find myself, look for something that I would love to do. But initially, like most of the people, I went through a dark nights of the soul, wanting to find meaning in life. I ended up leaving my job. I ended up leaving my family I mean, my parents is my family at that time. I ended up leaving my family. I just disappeared. I went to Palawan. I don't know anyone in Palawan at that time. So I went to the mountains. And then it all started there. I became part of a community in Puerto Princesa. So I was one of the pioneer in Baikalipai and MAIA Earth Village. So what I did at that time was just to be one with nature, doing meditation, yoga, and the likes. So I just started my spiritual journey. And when I was in that space, everything is becoming slower and slower, unlike in the city. I was based before in Cebu before I moved to Palawan. And when I went to Palawan, everything is so new. I was born and raised in the city, so I have no idea what a rural setting would look like and how to live there without any friends. So I met a community who's doing spiritual practices, and adapted their modality, and slowly I learned. But along the path, I lived in this community, and this group are basically trimming down their lifestyle into the like stripping everything of the wants into the needs. So everything that we need is the only thing that was really necessary at the time. All the wants disappeared. So everything was very basic: food, clothing, and shelter. That's all. And even the food became simpler and simpler and simpler until such time I became a vegan and became a raw foodist. And at the same time, I was able to experience just eating coconuts for 3 months. And that's the start of my journey. I had to state that history so that people will understand how I got into the point where I'm into building natural homes. And when I got into the point where I'm very stable in terms of my physical, mental, and spiritual body, I'm always in the soil, planting, gardening. The food that I ate was the plants and the crops that I planted back then in Palawan. And then the harmony with nature started uh, giving me, I mean, because of this harmony and being one with nature, I'm receiving messages, and sometimes it became a vision, and this visions turned into ideas, and then I had to experiment, trial and error. So because of the place where I was, there's a lot of resources in terms of building materials, all natural. In that place, I learned how to use bamboo, coconut uh, wood, cocoa lumber. I used whatever native materials that I can find around, and so on and so forth. To make the story short, I learned how to make natural buildings using the mud technology. So the mud house is a term that refers to building a structure using clay, fiber, and sand. And because of these three very available natural materials, I was able to teach the local community, the neighborhood, and in the area of Puerto Princesa where I live. And then we hired them to give them livelihood to build structures. And we created the Earth Village, the MAIA Earth Village, or we can also call it an eco-village or an intentional community. And from there, I was able to develop different methods. I studied, I joined groups online, I even attended workshops online. Until such time, I developed my own technique. It's like a 2.0 version of what I used to do. So right now, I'm teaching natural building. I'm also helping in areas that's being hit by calamities. So I want to share to you something like the photos I have for now. I'm gonna look for it for a moment and share to you. Just bear with me because of the technical difficulties before we were starting. So it's just here. So basically, we have to understand what a soil is. And in order to know what a soil is, we need to know the components of the soil. So now I'm gonna share to you this screen. I'm gonna make it bigger. So here you can see the major components of soil. It has mineral matter, organic matter, air, and water. Basically, there's just four. And then the percentages, you can see it to the right. This is the 25% of soil is mostly air, and the mineral particles are 45%, and water is 25%, and the organic matter is 5%. When I say organic matter, these are like the biodegradable, compostable materials like the decayed leaves and organic matter, which comprises of like the biodegradable, like maybe decayed wood, leaves, and other maybe the things that nature is going to decompose. And then With in terms of the mineral particles, there are elements that we can find. I mean, the mineral matter. You have sand, silt, and clay. So what we need to understand is that not all soils we can use for mud house. We have to take into considerations the clay content so that we would be able to uh, have the soil test, and if the clay content is enough for that mix, then you can use it for your mud house. So another requirement is, I'm gonna go back now. Another requirement now is your sand. The sand is what gives you the strength, the mass, and the fiber is the one that binds them. Fibers you can use straw, rice straw, maybe some other stronger materials would be sugar cane, the one that they press already, sodas, and maybe rice hulls. That's it. And other in other countries they have different like grass that you can also substitute. Like what we have here, we can use kogon sometimes if you don't have any available. And then that's the fiber, and then the sand is just the one that you can use. Better is you can use the one in the river, not the salty sand because you have to wash it from the sea. So what we need to do is after determining if our soil has enough clay content, which is the minimum requirement is 35%, then you can move forward to mixing the other aggregates, which are sand, water, and the fiber. And then you do the mixing after that. It's a trial and error. You do different ratios, and then you get the strongest possible mix by making balls and dropping it like this level in your head to the ground. Whatever has the strongest, mix, that's the one that you're gonna use for your ratio when you're building the walls. So I have some samples as well again in terms of the photos I want to share to you right now. Let's see. So these are some of the projects I did in Leyte. As you can see, this was hit by Typhoon Yolanda. So a friend of mine, a yoga teacher, commissioned me to rebuild. So as you can see, there's only remnants of the hollow blocks from their house before. So I used the coco lumber that's around the area, which was being hit by the strong winds. So we were able to create the structure using coco lumber in the land. This is what's left of their house. So we were able to do the framework first, which looks like a regular house. These are the straw, the one on the right, and then the left is the sawdust, the sand, the clay, and the straw. These are all materials that I gathered from the area. Even the straw, I just asked from them after people harvested rice. And the sand, we're near the river, so I asked kids to just bring sand to the area. And then the sawdust are from the coco lumber that we had being cut into different sizes. So all you need to do is to prepare the area for mixing this one. So where does spirituality come or building spiritual community come in terms of doing a mud house project? So when we went to different areas that are just being hit by calamity, we were able to share to the community that were victims the idea of, but in Leyte, it's called Pintakasi or Bayanihan in simple terms. So each of the victim are helping everyone to build one house, and after that, their house will be built. Until such time, all of the victims will have their own houses. So even kids can do this. So it's very basic. That's why it's very fun as well to do. As you can see, anybody can do this. So this one is the commissioned house that I built for my friend, just to show the people in the area it's possible, so that they are able to grasp this concept, because they think soil is not good enough, because they have this phobia already of the strong storm, so it might fall down again after it's being hit by the typhoon. Slowly, we're able to put the mud already. As it transforms into a beautiful wall, and then it looks like a conventional house, but the materials are natural. We just retained the portion of the concrete hollow block so that it becomes part of the mortar on the ground. Now it became it looks like a house already. And then the window, I just gathered the floating driftwoods from the river, and then designed it to become artistic. It looks so much better. The bottles that I use are just from the discarded bottles from the wines or whatever liquor that they had around. Excuse me. As you can see, if you don't look at it closely, it just looks like a concrete house. So, so you will see the transformation of the house slowly becoming more and more uh, conventional looking. This thing that you can see that they're putting is the lime plaster. Let me go back. The lime plaster protects the mud from the weather, the rain, the sun. So it's also a natural material in powder form that you can add to the finishing. Now we can even add paint, a water-based paint, so that it can be very vibrant as well. I mean, in this case, the owner wants to paint it green, and very spacious inside. The bottles that you can see also gives light to pass through the wall, so it adds to the lighting inside. So this is just one of the example that I can share to you for now. But basically, what we do is more of educating people that you don't need so much to build. You can just use the natural resources that you have. And to give another example is uh, during the earthquake in Nepal, I also volunteered. I became part of the team of GENOA, the Global Ecovillage Network in Oceania and Asia. So we raised funds to be able to go to the earthquake victims, and I was able to teach the people of Nepal how to do such basic, simple technology. I was able to connect to authorities in a rehabilitation center. We were able to make rehabilitation room in that center, one for people who have problems with drugs and alcohol. So we finish it, and then we have enough labor or manpower. The people who are enrolled there are the ones who are helping us build as part of their rehabilitation program activities. I was able also to create another one in the village on top of the mountain where everything was hit by the earthquake, and every house or home just went to the ground flat. So in terms of building spiritual communities, you can tap the community to do a job or a project to create sustainable housing for their neighbors, and then to have their own as well after they help the others. And it made a big difference in terms of focusing on their losses, in terms of emotional uh, like recovery. We were able to divert their attention to becoming more productive. And the basic advantage was that the thing that really touched us the most is like people who doesn't know each other living in the same community or neighborhood became good friends. And then it's like a new beginning for them as well. And for us, looking back, we we were able to heal not only the land, but we were also able to heal through the practice of Bayanihan and or Pintakasi. The people around the area who were also victims in terms of relationships. Instead of focusing on selfish needs to get like relief goods and the other help that they get from the local government, they were able to become sustainable in creating the houses that they need, which is the very basic need. So I also was able to do commission works in terms of resorts. I had friends who asked me to do uh, mga ano, like structures that I can share right now again. Let me share. I'll just look for it. I showed the one in Bataan. An, a yogi friend of mine asked me to build his man house. I mean his man cave. As you can see, is a very basic small man cave with a loft. This has been plastered, so the one that you see is the lime that we mix so that we can use it to plaster. And we are using driftwoods as well around it. So you don't only get to build basic designs. You can use your imagination to create. This is how we start. We were using bamboo, and then we fill it up with the balls to create the wall and to have the mass and the thickness before you cover it. And look at that, a mushroom mud house in the middle of a 2 hectare mango plantation. That's his man cave. Some commission works for personal use. Structure for I'm gonna look for it here. So so we started with the roof using leaves and using it all the native materials that you can see, bamboo and then now. This was the best part. I mean, the best part is was able to teach for 2 months of their curriculum from able to experience how to design it. You can use it like this, and then that's it. A library made from mud. So when we started, even parents are helping us. Aside from using bottles, the wine bottles, you can also use eco breaks, like the ones that we inserted, the plastics that's being placed inside the PET bottle. So parents, teachers, students, so much fun in making this library. All right. So for now, in Diala Farms, and we also showcase mud houses. And I'm still continuing to teach workshops, and I'm also doing accepting commissioned works. So that's it for now. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer it. Moderator, I'm waiting. Okay. Any questions? I'm just waiting for people to
Yes,
send
hello,
their
Marvin.
questions.
Thank you. Oh yeah. Thank you for your wonderful presentation and for sharing your journey into building
So
and
let's just wait for
formulating.
JP to, yeah,
Yes,
show his
I'm
screen.
already here now. Yeah. So yeah, thank you, Marvin, for again for sharing your presentation and for sharing your journey into how you were able to conceptualize and then finally, build your mud house projects. It's quite
Right.
interesting. I do have question about your project with your friend. How long has it been standing? I'm quite curious because
The
we've
longest one
been.
that I had as a structure that I built was in our Ecovillage in Palawan. So it's more than 10 years now and it's still standing. And the
Oh,
friend that
okay.
commissioned it, it's like maybe more than 8 years in Bataan. I have one in Cebu. I have another in Mountain Province. I trained the Igorots in Mountain Province in Sagada. I also went to
Yeah.
Marawi. So even in Marawi, the relocation area for the war zone there, I went there and then helped them in the school to build this multi-purpose room. I also went
Mm-hmm.
to Mindanao. I mean, Marawi is in Mindanao, but I also went to other places in Mindanao
Yeah.
to do workshops. So mostly around the Philippines to share my advocacy.
Oh, that's very interesting because I mean, as you know, we live in a country that is ridden by different natural calamities like
Correct.
typhoons, sometimes earthquakes.
Mhm.
So I was wondering how those mud houses responded to those calamities that went on,
Correct.
especially the typhoons. So
Yeah.
it's very nice to hear that they're still standing. So
The
the
first challenge, sorry, the first challenge we
okay.
had in Leyte was people are not really open because they had this trauma with the typhoon that even their strong
Yeah.
houses were destroyed. So imagine that, and then you're gonna build us a mud house.
Mud
So
house.
the first thing I did was to look for an open person. Like I saw one carpenter who has his house not finished yet. So I asked him if I can do his house, and he agreed. When we finished his house, everyone was like curious, and when they saw that it's thick enough, it's strong enough compared to the ones that they're putting the tarpaulins, they were starting to open up, and then they kept asking. And I stayed there, imagine, for more than a year, helping
Mhm.
people in Leyte, the one that got hit. We adopted a barangay in Batug. So I was able to finish more than a dozen of houses. Some of them are 2 stories high. So
Wow. So it
from
just
the
needed
things that we gathered,
it just needed one person with
one
an open
person
mind.
open
So
mind.
the community, followed suit
Then people
afterwards.
started becoming curious, and then they wanted to see more. And then they said, "Can you do mine? Can you do mine?" And then we made clusters so that each cluster, it became a bayanihan or pintakasi work.
It really the spirit of bayanihan spread. We don't have
Yes,
an equivalent English term for it, but it's like
correct.
community
I don't
spirit.
know
What can
how
we
do we
say?
call it. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I would say something about community spirit. That's the nearest concept that I can, think of.
right.
With
Natural building also is normally done in community, even in other parts of the world. When you
yeah,
talk about natural building or mud houses, it's just another lifestyle where people go off the grid. And then
yeah,
when they go off the grid, they want to be self-sustainable. They have solar panels, they have other sources of energy, and
alternative
then
energy. Yeah,
alternative energy sources. And then they want to have sustainable housing without using concrete, metals, and the
yes.
like. So it can be done.
Um, um, a follow-up question to that, since you also mentioned that you were part of this team, the GENOA
Yes.
uh,
Global
initiative
Eco Village
in
Network.
yes in Nepal, which was hardly hit by
Yeah,
earthquake. I think that was like
seven
20,
something, 2013
2017.
something,
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, that
13.
that year.
It's like after Yolanda or before Yolanda. It's like in the same like very
Almost
very
the
close.
year,
Yeah,
yeah. Very
yeah.
close years.
Hmm.
Um, do you have to adjust the formulation of the mud, since you're building another mud house in a geographical location that's quite different from the Philippines, and Nepal has a higher altitude? Does it
Altitude.
affect in a way the formulation of your mud houses there?
That's actually a very good question. I wanted to discuss as well. Even the materials that we have there is different. You cannot find cogon grass. You cannot find
Yeah.
rice straw. So in that place of the world, it's so high. Maybe in different provinces there, you can find rice. But where I was there, when I was there in the city, they don't have rice straw. I had to look for another alternative, like the
Mm.
ones that they use for making ropes, the fiber. It's a type of
Ah,
grass.
yeah. It's very I forget, is it, okay, call it is it kushali grass?
Yeah, I
I
forgot the
we
name
probably
as well, but it's very sturdy and
yeah.
very strong. So I
I think
thought
it's a
like
kushali grass.
I wanna experiment. So when I asked for the material, they gave me, and then I use it and mix it with the and use it as a fiber. It worked. And then when I had to
So
ask
it
for
really
tissue,
depends also on, you have to also to be very much aware of the environment in which you're going to build a mud house and the available
yeah,
um,
correct.
organic
So
materials there.
in Nepal, most people are building houses using bricks, which is also made from mud that they cook, and then it becomes a brick. The
Mm-hmm.
problem was when they got hit by earthquakes because they're building structures with this old technology. They don't have posts. It's like putting one brick on top of each other until it reaches the top. That's it. And they don't even have posts or any mga beams. So it's very
That's very
poorly done.
traditional, I think,
Very
way back to
traditional.
the ancient
Right.
Indian, they have
Yeah, the
an old
same. Even
civilization.
their
Yeah.
roof, it's they're using tiled stone, the black stones that they shape into tiles, the very thick and heavy one. So they
Yes.
just pile it on top of each other. So after the earthquake, everything collapsed.
Topple down. Maybe even
Yeah.
the temple. I think this big, I forgot the
Yeah, the
Buddha
Buddhist one, the one with the
the
big
Buddha stupa with
eye.
the two eyes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it was toppled down.
I went there as well, and then it's very ancient, but everything like fell down. Sayang nga eh.
Yes.
It's very sad to
I
see.
think they're trying to rebuild it.
Hmm.
From what I've heard, I think they're also
When I
trying to
was there,
rebuild.
they were already like I don't know. They were just trying to prevent it from collapsing more. They're like
Yeah.
putting scaffoldings at that time, like band-aid repairs. That's all they did
Hopefully,
at that time.
hopefully they can able to rebuild the temple by following the integrity of it, but using
Yes,
the modern methods, maybe, so that it can stand for um,
correct.
years. Because I also wanted to go to Nepal and visit the Buddha Nath.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's why. There's actually one interesting question from Delightful Guy. This is actually from me, from Kay. Maybe she's thinking of building her own mud house. How much should the budget be in building one?
Okay. That's always the case now. A conventional way of thinking how much is the budget of building a mud house. So when I answer that question, I always refer to the type of structure you want. Unlike the
Mm,
conventional way, an architect would say, "Oh, can you build me a house worth 1 million?" They could always design for you. In terms of mud houses, the costing is different. Wherever your location is, it depends on what are the resources available in that location. But basically, your cost is mostly the manpower. That's why it's a community type of building because it's
so you
very
have
labor
to
intensive. Yeah,
tap also into the community that you live in.
yeah.
You have
That's
to
why
consider that.
another challenge here in the Philippines is that we are not allowed to build this type of structures in the city. It's not permitted in the building code. That's why you
Yeah.
cannot just build one. You can do it in your resorts in the mountains, small cottages in the beach, but not in a city or any subdivision. It's not allowed in the building code.
Is it really because of the engineering
No one is yet
thing?
sponsoring because natural building is not for the traditional or conventional way. It's not welcome. That's why I worked with Michael Reynolds, the garbage warrior, the one who started the Earthship.
Yeah.
He also worked with us back then. I learned that during the time that he was able to create a community in the U.S. He's an architect. His license got revoked because people are complaining because he's off the grid. It's like the politics within the housing, like the rules in housing or in building structures. You have to have someone to lobby, like to sponsor.
Yeah.
So at that time, he fought for 10 years to be able to find a good senator who's into green and natural building to be able to sponsor a bill so that natural building would be allowed. That and then he got his license back, something like that. And then I worked with this guy. He's more than 60 years old, but still rock and roll. He's very strong. So back in
It's
Leyte.
very sad to hear
So
that, especially
mhm,
about the lobbying thing that, you really
right,
have to go through the bureaucratic
correct.
um process, and the tediousness of it, just for
Yes.
us to have alternative
Mm-hmm,
and greener homes, which is, I think, it's also quite timely, because a lot of we've been hit by calamities every now
mm-hmm,
and then, and people need to rebuild their homes
mm-hmm,
in a way that is sustainable, and at the same time very could be affordable, for and this is just one of the alternatives that we that can benefit our fellow countrymen. Maybe because
mm-hmm,
as you said, the budget is really dependent on so many factors, really. So
mm-hmm.
there's the manpower and the materials available.
If you ask me regarding building a natural building or a mud house, it's an artistic expression. It's
Hmm.
no longer the house is just for you to stay in. It's more of how you want to really make it yours,
Yeah.
customize it the way you want it. It's an artwork.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can even
And
like add special like the ones I did in Nepal. There's this artist, a national artist. I got the privilege of knowing, and I stayed in their house. We created this cafe for them for artists, national artists. These are really famous around the world. Ashmina Ranjit,
really,
and yeah,
okay.
she performs around the world, and then I stayed in her house. She asked me to create a mud cafe. So what I did was, because she's an artist, I created and added those things that got destroyed with the earthquake. I got
Okay.
some broken windows. So when I place it, it's no longer straight. I did it in purpose, like diagonal, or like it's very topsy turvy to have that image of the earthquake remnants. And then I added some broken like vases and all the bicycle wheel. So you can find that in also in my Facebook page, the Natural Mudhouse Academy. The
And
photos.
maybe visit that cafe, that cafe
Yeah,
that
they're
you built.
using it
When
right
I
now
get to
very
know,
actively.
when I go to
They
Nepal
do
someday.
poetry reading, singing, and all that stuff. Right now, they're very active and they're using it. So I also became known in Nepal because I was in the newspapers when I was doing this stuff around in Nepal. So
Oh
they
yeah,
featured.
and of course, this is something that has your mud house technology has benefited. I
Mm-hmm.
guess a lot of people there who were like devastated by the earthquake. Um,
Correct.
and regarding to that, actually, Delightful Guide also is another follow-up reaction. It is sad because this can resolve some issues for resettlement or homelessness. Yes,
Yes.
we be talking about the bureaucracy involved
Correct.
around getting approved of these
Imagine
alternatives.
you want to help build like houses after they get hit by typhoon, and then you need to
Yes.
have permits. You need to have all this. But we went to the remote area and had a courtesy call with their mayor, and he was open enough, so we didn't have to have permits because we were like giving them like shelter. for their people
Oh,
in the barangay. So, but you cannot do that in Manila or
oh,
anywhere.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, because I think of the specific, maybe specific
The
guidelines,
guidelines,
the
yeah, the
engineering
housing,
guidelines,
yeah, the
yeah, that
structures
are
and the.
quite
Hmm.
conventional.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Marvin. We'll just read some of the also of the some of the comments here. Hello, from Facebook user. I don't know who you are, but hello, Facebook user. Hello, I'm still watching from Isabela, Region Two. Oh, I hope you're enjoying the whole conference. From Noel Livan, my contribution to Earth is patronizing the concept of Earth Bag House para hindi na magamit ng maggamit ng kahoy at practical na mura pa. So Noel from Tandag City, Surigao del Sur. Hello Noel. From Roxanne Cabreros, we can help Earth by minimizing our own carbon footprint. In my own way, I do vermicompost and recycling for 6 years now. Wow. So
Hmm.
here's another Earth warrior. Plant more trees and promote urban gardening. I couldn't agree more. From Facebook user, what is my contribution to Mother Earth? As a daycare worker, we have a garden in our school. So we plant vegetables like eggplant, okra, squash, bitter gourd, or ampalaya, tomato, chili, malunggay, and pechay. We clean room inside and outside and paint the garden to make it more attractive. We do proper segregation of our waste. I teach the students to differentiate what is biodegradable and non-biodegradable, and as well as to always clean our surroundings, which is just basic, but very necessary, actions, behavior to do our part in saving Mother Earth. So, guys, the contest is still ongoing. Don't forget to put the hashtag in order for your um, entry to be valid. It's hashtag rebuild Gaia and hashtag bangon together with your comments, right? My contribution to Earth is, and then continue, finish the sentence, and put it with hashtag rebuild Gaia and hashtag bangon, so that your entry is eligible for our ongoing contest. So and please stay tuned for our next session. And it's going to be hosted by a very good friend of mine, Kay Domingo. So thank you, Marvin. That was a very nice discussion, and see you on our next show.